Welcome to Left Coast Connections, California artists exhibiting on the Gulf Coast. This exhibition features the work of artists with connections to three art institutes in Southern California: California State University, Long Beach, Laguna College of Art and Design, and Saddleback College. The images exhibited here are not bound by style or media, but by a spirit of excellence and aesthetic surprise. They are all, in some direct or indirect way, influenced by one visionary artist and teacher. Dick Oden was a rare and truly magical man who mentored a number of artists in this exhibition. Some studied under Professor Oden's immediate students or were colleagues that form a lineage drawing a direct line to Dick's influence and the artists he affected. Sometimes we are fortunate to be aware that we are in the presence of such an individual. This show is a tribute to our individual responsibility to listen and learn from our mentors, even if it doesn't come to full fruition until years later. Mangrove Gallery, Dick Oden, posthumous 1935 to 1993, untitled. Dick is the figure at the center of this exhibition. He mentored many of the artists on display here, some of which then went on to teach many of the other artists in this exhibit. This show is an homage to Dick Oden and acknowledges the artistic family or an aesthetic lineage that emerged out of the art department at California State University, Long Beach, and migrated to Laguna College of Art and Design, Saddleback College, and consequently to its affiliation with Ringling College of Art and Design. This masterful, untitled drawing plays with our understanding and wonderment of the human body and how it occupies space and time. Dick's preeminent grasp of anatomy is at the heart of this image. George Zebot, Ava Raris. The name Ava is a derivative of the word bird in Latin. The imagery of both the oriole and the hand shadow form relate to the subject in the painting. The transitioning ribbons refer to the passage of time. Cynthia Osborne, posthumous 1947, 2018. Well Repository. Cynthia was a driving force in the print department at CSULB, joining the faculty in 1975. While she was known for her lithography, she also created works in traditional media. Her artwork is in collections of the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, the Whitney Museum, and the Smithsonian Museum of American Art. This stone litho alludes to haunting memories of cryptic ancestors. Aaron Eskridge, size 11 chucks. Painting with acrylic on a masonite board, size 11 chucks was Aaron Eskridge's first large-scale painting. In this piece, he began to explore the reoccurring theme of Americana while characteristically flattening space by distressing the surface with a textured patina and blending positive and negative space. Everett Peck, Longhorn. The Longhorn painting is a part of a series of large paintings based on popular images of the Wild West, especially as portrayed in film. The artist is a student of popular culture and myths and is particularly interested in the intersection between fact, fiction, and fantasy. He finds painting a perfect way to explore those ideas. Vito Scorola, Victoria's Aspiration. The drawing is a father's perspective that symbolizes and predicts his daughter's passage from adolescence to adulthood. It expresses strength, determination, and the inherent confidence she was born with that will serve her well in overcoming adversities and the need for personal growth. Greg Spalenka, Vamp. This mixed media piece is part of a series of images on the fantasy world. It was generated through a working combination of both digital and traditional media. Yevgenia Mikhailik. These next two works are from a series of imagined landscapes. The Unknown was created as a meditation on the language of topography and mapping to describe a complex geological form. It also addresses a landscape form as a being. Someplace presents a living or a coming to life geological formation. It is again a reference to the body or a living being within an otherwise still landscape. Both of these works are part of an ongoing series exploring our connection to land and our role within and responsibility to fragile ecosystems. Doreen Tanaka, Tsunami Tears. A tsunami claimed 19,000 lives along the northeast coast of Japan in March of 2011. Looking through the bright eyes of children who survived the disaster, they must carry on in its aftermath with uncertainty of what lies ahead. Through his pain, one schoolboy rationalizes his feelings and philosophy about life. I wish nature didn't have to do this, but I am not angry. Sometimes nature is good to you, and sometimes it makes bad things happen. That is something we have to accept. The sea has a lot of fish in it, and we get to eat those fish. Now, my future is to help others in need. Celia Wu, Warrior Women of the Wasteland. This is a fantasy of a group of powerful women playing out their drama in the desert. It fits the reality of the Me Too movement. The Mitchell Gallery. Paul Wallace, Polly Wally 1, 2, and 3. These small, primitive, three-dimensional caricatures were created with gouache and colored pencil on raku-fired clay. Robin Richardson, Parasol. This piece was commissioned for a regular column, illustrated for Costume Designer magazine. The article was on the history of the parasol, created in various time periods, with decorative details. The artist enjoyed combining traditional watercolor, gouache, and pencil with digital techniques to create this work. Darlene Campbell, El Toro Marine Base. This miniature oil painting pays homage to the contemporary landscape genre, highlighting the rural changes that are impacted by development in Southern California, specifically in Orange County. The artist uplifts the commonplace landscape to a spiritual and divine level. Celia Wu, Dragonfly Dance. In her childhood, she grew up observing the nimble and graceful activity of dragonflies in the garden or by the pond. The dragonfly symbolizes change, adaptability, and self-realization. Rick Reese, Punk versus Surf. The poster was commissioned for a punk concert in Orange County that was used to promote the production. The show was a mix of surf rock and punk bands, and the image was poking fun at the idea by showing them crashing together. Literally. Doreen Tanaka, Break Free. This artist's mother found herself an empty nester when her daughter left for school overseas. Dare we find the courage to break free from our protective bubbles? She was never quite ready, but she was brave, and the universe listens to the brave. Rebecca Ray. Larry Safady, Slave Labor. Found objects offer opportunity and insight. Larry resided for a number of years on the Caribbean island of St. Croix, and the three-dimensional imagery of this shovel was motivated by the infamous gain of the plantation system on the backs of slave labor. Robert Picorni, O. The painting O explores abstraction of the figure, drawing on inspiration from jazz album covers, modern to postmodern art, and contemporary culture. Time, movement, and a state of transition are embodied with each figure, where color, form, and line are used to describe and initiate feeling. Ellen Rose, LeBron Tattoo Series No. 2. This octogenarian walked into a biker bar and asked a patron and a total stranger if he would pose for her tattoo series of paintings. No joke. Casey McEnany, Vision. This piece was a celebrated mural artist from the Pacific Northwest, is about the search for life fulfillment through dedication, discipline, and faith. The portrait is both gentle and rugged, expressing the conflict between body, mind, and soul. Dottie Barnes, Rusting Away. This painting is about the intrinsic beauty of ordinary objects. Ken Corral, Malevolent Sheep. Malevolent sheep is the result of a technique experiment more than anything else. Scanned lithotextures are layered in and combined with digital tools. George Zebot, Healing Democracy. This piece has current significance with the present state of affairs. Symbolism and allegory are used to share a narrative of a divided body politic with both national and religious overtones. Ken Corral, Quota. This is an image about egg laying. It takes a diagrammatic approach, emphasizing mechanization that is reflected in the cold digital tools used to make the artwork. Kevin Peterson, Stray. As the figure in mid-stumble runs uncontrollably towards sanctuary, it visually describes a moment most experience. So close, yet so far. Similar to when a runaway dog's whose leash is stepped on and is jerked away just as they are about to reach their goal. Rachel Cornforth, Donald's Wall, Diego's Dilemma. This gouache painting is a contemporary parody on Diego Rivera's iconic image, referencing the many issues around the border wall and the contrasting political views that Diego Rivera might have had about the common Mexican laborer. Kevin Nakagawa. These two creation myths panels are executed in ink on scratchboard. The panels are part of a book project based on a story from Native American folklore about the creation of dry land. Sun melts snow. In this panel, the sun is released from a leather bag and melts all of the snow, which in turn floods the earth. Ark. This image is a narrative of animals being saved by an old man on a raft. While this myth is indigenous to native peoples, it has parallels to the biblical story of Noah. Vito Scorola, Jalen. This image represents a husband's abiding affection and deep love of his wife. It conveys her insatiable attraction for the exotic and reverence for anything Asian. Contemplative and introspective, she is steeped in ritual and spirituality with strong sensibility for order and protocol. Katie Betts, Cardinal Christmas. This painting in gouache is inspired by the artist's love for birds and the holiday season. The scene depicts the joy that Christmas morning brings for both the ones who receive as well as those who give. Jonathan Burke, Cream Puffs. A simple, mundane image of food can be used to convey sensuality and compositional grace. Mark Mickelin, Corvidae. Drawing has always been more than making competent copies of life. In a formal sense, artists try to say something by using shape, marks, textures, and details versus unspoken areas. Ravens are fascinating birds. These two are Laguna Beach residents. Robert Picorni, Focus. This painting, influenced by the relation that music and physics have to time, shares a similarly altered point of view. Post-cubist, fractured space allows for the observer to simultaneously look around many corners. Deborah Malchik, Lilies, number 3. Large pen and ink drawings of flowers are used to explore concepts of beauty using subjects that have a long history in art. The drawing contains forms and layered lines which, when juxtaposed, create new and personally surprising passages. She asked the viewer to look deep into nature and then you will understand everything better. Albert Einstein. Marion Stewart, Doll number 11. These two drawings were part of a group of 50 drawings that were a visual exploration, investigation, and celebration of a single subject. The intent of the project was also, through a unity of mark and meaning, to try to capture certain kind of feelings and emotion the artist felt towards each subject. This, of course, is difficult to see when each drawing is viewed in isolation. Sleeping Chick. Both the Chicken and the Doll series deal with vulnerability and are in some way connected as much to adult-like things as they are to childlike things. Brett Redinger, When the Last of the Machines Give Way to Fungus. As we start to imagine a world run by posthumans that have merged with AI, the artist can't help but think about what interesting fungi will break them down in the end. Mark Mickelin, Olive Tree. The olive tree started as a sketch of a 2,000-year-old tree next to the Pont du Gard in France. Ellen Rose, Rita Tattoo number 1. 1/3 of each watercolor is premeditated. 1/3 is the drift of one color to adjacent colors, and 1/3 is knowing when to leave the accidents which occur due to the nature of watercolor. Jamie Sweetman, Artichoke Heart. In the artist's own words, my work is drawn from nature, yet not found in nature. Dan Sweetman, La Jolla Series. His is one of a series of paintings concerned with capturing everyday scenes at the La Jolla shores. This concludes the Left Coast Connections exhibition at the Ringling College Englewood Art Center.